My name is Nick. For those of you guys who don't know me, this is my homie Bailey.
Hey guys, hello.
We are super excited again that you guys are here this morning. Guys, midweek has been sick. It's been so much fun. Every Wednesday, main patio, 7 p.m. Be there, bring a friend. We highly encourage you guys to go to that because it's an opportunity to build deeper community, build deeper friendships with the people that you meet here on Sunday. So be there, bring a friend.
Nick, are you ready for another hang?
I'm ready. I'm
All
stoked.
right, guys, our next hang is tomorrow night. We're getting in the fall spirit. We're going to be playing Ultimate Frisbee and doing pumpkin carving and painting. So all you have to do is bring a pumpkin, and we have all the rest of the supplies. And it's at 6:45. There's our graphic to 8:30. It's at Tumbleweed Park, field number 11. Be there.
Yes, that's going to be super sick. Real quick, you guys know what I'm going to say. Social media, pull out your phones real quick. Get plugged in, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Stay plugged in there, follow us there. We're going to be pushing important information on events, hangs, stuff like that. So make sure to follow us on all those social medias.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, sad news, but also exciting. This is our last week of stories. So if you guys have been with us the last couple of weeks, you've probably heard stories from your friends and from other leaders. And this week is our last week. We're going to be wrapping it up with our last panel up here on the stage. It's going to be great.
Yes, we are super excited for that. Again, thank you guys so much for coming this morning. Super thankful we're here. One last thing we just wanted to say was,
welcome home.
What up, what up? How's everyone doing today? Yeah, there we go. Man, y'all need to wake up. It's like noon. Guys, well, as you heard, it's a good thing and a bad thing, but it's our last week of stories. And we decided, hey, let's go big or go home. So we brought 4 people up today. And more's always better. So who do we got right here?
What's up, guys? My name is Maddie. I am a sophomore at Arizona Christian University. Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, that's it.
Hi, my name is Tatum. I am a junior at Valley Christian High School.
Ooh. Some Valley fans in the room? All
I'm
2
Maren.
of them? You're good.
Okay. I'm Maren, and I'm a junior at Basha High School.
Any Basha fans? A few? Wow.
I'm Bailey. I graduated college 2 years ago. Yay!
Yeah. Wait, what's happening on Saturday? Next Saturday? You got to tell the people.
Next Saturday is my birthday. I won't tell you how old I'm turning, but I am older than Alec.
But her birthday's on Halloween is the cool part. Yeah. Yeah, not just next Saturday. I was like, come on, the Halloween's the cool part. So, most important question of the day. Maddie, what is your favorite food?
All right, so my favorite food is Japanese food, but about a year ago, I found out I have a fish allergy, so I can't eat it anymore. So now it's chicken nuggets.
Sad day.
Yeah. Chick-fil-A nuggets all the way, though, right?
Wow.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
My favorite food is chicken fingers and salad.
So do you like Cane's chicken fingers?
I like their sauce more than their fingers.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah.
If you want Cane's, come on Wednesday. Free Cane's.
That's true. Yeah, okay.
My favorite food's probably salad, which is like really boring, but
What kind of salad? Just lettuce
like a
in a
Caesar
bowl?
salad, like with chicken and or some type of meat. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's good. So it's a little filling. Don't mess this up.
My favorite food is obviously tacos, and I thought everyone loved tacos until Tatum told me she didn't like tacos. And so I also like Thai food, and I found out that Thai tacos is a thing that I need to try. So
Interesting.
on that.
Yeah, Tatum's just wrong of thinking tacos are bad.
I also don't like burritos, so I'm sorry, guys.
Nick loves burritos wherever Nick's at. Yeah, it's a bad one. So, Maddie, just tell the people a little bit about growing up and then all the way until meeting our friend Jesus.
All right. So God has just been really good, and I grew up in a family that just always prioritized church. My parents were believers, so I grew up in church. Some of my closest friends and lifelong friends come from my church family, you might call it. So I've kind of always been exposed to Jesus, always was kind of in love with him or whatever. And yeah, so that's kind of been a consistent thing. And then when I got to high school, everything was just really about performance and like being this girl that like had it all together, did the thing. I was a gymnast my whole life, and there was a lot of pressure in that sport and just in that community to be the best, and everything was critiqued. My body image was critiqued. My performance was critiqued. I was like always being told that like I wasn't good enough, that I didn't bring enough to the table, and so there was a lot of striving and a lot of who am I gonna please, and I really put God in a box at that time. I had to think about college like super, super early. And so my whole life was really focused on like, are you gonna be a failure? Or like, are you gonna do something with your life? And to me, being a freshman, sophomore, that looked like going to college for a gymnastics scholarship and being a doctor and just like being the like cool girl that did the cool thing. And so that was what my life was about. And I really loved Jesus on a Sunday. And then throughout the week, I let my teammates and kind of culture and the environment I grew up with dictate like who I was and what I was fighting for. And there was just a moment where the Lord was kind, but also, like, for lack of a better term, just aggressive to get my attention. And he really was like, Maddie, I want to be the God in your life. Like, stop trying to be me. Stop trying to make things happen. I like to use this term that I was like white knuckling my future. I was just like holding on to it so tight. And I didn't want to like create any room for the Lord to like potentially ruin my plan, because my plan was like, you're going to be a chiropractor girl. You're going to go do gymnastics. Like, you're going to be this like cool girl, right? And that was like not what the Lord had for me, but I didn't want to let the Lord into that like space because I was scared of what like could be if I wasn't in control. And I was scared of this idea of like failure or like not living up to like my community's standard of success. And there was just a moment where the Lord really just met me. And it was at a youth group night. And so I plug youth group all the time because Jesus really works like on those Wednesday nights and in those moments. But there was just a moment where the Lord was just like, Maddie, what if? Like, what if you trusted me? What happens if you, like, actually let go of this and see, like, what happens when you let me be God and you just, like, follow and trust me? And I was kind of, like, running out of options, like, just long story short, like, because I didn't have a scholarship my sophomore year in my sport, that basically meant, like, you suck, so get out. And so I was, like, heartbroken, and nothing was working. And Jesus was just like, Maddie, will you trust me? Like, you don't deserve the things I'm going to give you, but, like, will you trust that, like, I'm good even when your plan doesn't work out? And I was like, well, I really don't have an option. And so I did, and the Lord really was just really faithful, and that is why I'm in Arizona, and that's why I'm at ACU, and he provided a scholarship, and in that, the Lord led me to a different career path, and basically what that means is that, like, the Lord's plan is so much better than what I thought my plan was, and as soon as I learned how to be, like, open-handed and not, like, try to play God or be in control of, like, everything in my life, that's when God really, like, showed up and was super faithful.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing, Maddie. So, wow, just that moment of giving God that trust, what a game changer. So, Tatum, for you, as all of us, our story looks so different. I've known Tatum for a very long time. Our parents have known each other for like 30 years. And Tatum has a really unique story. So, I mean, listen to everyone, but I think her story speaks to a lot of you guys in a lot of unique ways.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
So some of you may know, but I was actually adopted. Me and my sister, she might be here. She was on her way. I don't know if she made it yet. So we were both adopted separately, and I have a little sister now. She was not adopted, and I love her, and today's her birthday. So, but it was really cool because, I mean, my parents were really looking into adoption, and they really tried, and they reached out to the Dr. Phil show, and so they got a chance to be on the Dr. Phil show, and they were like following this story, and it didn't end up working out for them. But he said, hey, if you like want to give your kid up for adoption, you can contact any of these couples. And so both my parents, they were contacted, and that is how they ended up with me and Taylor. So we are twins, but we were both born in February. So, but yes, we're very grateful. It's made a massive impact on our family. It's always just such a fun story to tell. And so growing up, I've had just an amazing family, and I've grown up in a Christian home. I've been to church every single weekend. I have grown up Seventh-day Adventist, so I've always gone to church on Saturdays. And I just went to like a really small community church, and there wasn't a lot of youth programs there, but there were lots of kids. So I grew up with some really great like church friends who we've obviously like kind of split up now because they live all over Arizona. But just like through that, it's just been really helpful in my faith because it was so small that like all the adults would like come to me and they would help me, and they would help me like grow in my faith, and it was just really nice. And then I went to public school my whole life up until this year, but that was just, it was really hard because everyone's kind of a fake face in public school, so you didn't really know who your friends were. So I had a lot of trouble with meeting the wrong people, and like the choices they made obviously weren't fantastic. So it was really hard trying to be friends with them, but also trying to be like Christian at the same time. And then when I got to middle school, I decided that I needed to expand like my church a little bit. So I decided to go to the Grove Youth Ministry because a lot of my friends were going there. And I said, well, why not? Let's go check it out. So I did, and I really enjoyed it. And they had lots of camps, and I went to lots of them. I met Alec at the Grove. I didn't know him at the time, but my mom did. And she was like, hey, go see, that's Alec. Go say hi to him. And I was like, oh, okay. But now we're like, he's like my older brother. So he has obviously helped me a tremendous amount in my story. And so, yeah, and then Jesus just kind of was like, yeah, like you're doing great. And I kind of thought, I was like, oh, I'm the perfect Christian. No, I'm not. But yeah, he kind of came into my life while I was a cheerleader at the time. And so my schedule was absolutely chaotic. I really never saw my friends, only at cheer. And I've had the same friends for like 7 years. So it's been hard trying to meet new people, especially with my busy schedule. But these 4 friends have been pretty solid, and I'm like really thankful for them. And then going in, the summer of sophomore year. So going into sophomore year, that summer, I decided to go to the Grove summer camp with the high school, and that was kind of when Jesus kind of showed up in my life just a little bit more.
Did you do anything at camp that was a rededication, a decision?
Oh, yeah. So I had been thinking a while about baptisms because my tiny church, which I was still going to, was kind of like, yeah, we want to do a baptism for all the youth. And I was thinking about it. My parents were thinking about it. And then I was like, well, I really want to get baptized in the ocean. So summer camp with the Grove, they were like, hey, we're doing baptisms in the ocean. And I was like, this is where I do it. So I prayed about it, and I talked to some leaders, and I texted both my parents. They were in California with me, but they were just like somewhere else. And I was like, hey, do you want to drive down? I want to get baptized. Like, I've been thinking about it. And they're like, duh, we want to come see you get baptized. So my mom drove down, and yeah, I was baptized that summer, and that was when Jesus was really like, hello, my name is Jesus. Come follow me. Yeah.
So simple, but so good. And like, guys, like, who knew Dr. Phil? Like, I think
my BFF.
It's like the crazy part of your story, but it's so unique. Like, where were you born and where was Taylor born?
We were both born in Texas. We've lived here our whole lives, but my parents had to fly out to Texas. I was born right outside of Houston, and she was born in Austin.
Yeah, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. Same state, don't know each other at all.
Both
and
February, too.
Yeah, both born within a month of each other. Wow, so good. Yeah, if you want to pass the mic down to our friend Maren over there. Yeah, Maren, tell us a little bit about yourself and what Jesus has done in your life.
All right. So I was baptized as a Methodist baby. My parents decided that. And then I was always raised in a Christian home. I've lived in 4 different states. And the most recent move was Washington to Arizona. And that was in 7th grade, like second quarter. The move was not the easiest. I didn't want to. I hated the idea of it. I was so comfortable in Washington. the other hard part of it was we had to leave my brother there because he already graduated. He was starting a life there. He wanted to stay there. He didn't want to have to move with us. And I've always had him with the moves, and so not having him with this move was really hard for me. So when I got to school that first day, I had a familiar face because my mom had one of her coworkers' kids that went to the same school, and she showed me around, and I actually met Tatum somehow through that. But anyways, I hated going to school. I was always raised in a Christian home, and I still went to church all the time. My parents would force me because I was so stubborn that I didn't want to go. And I was like almost angry at God for like making me move and making me have to like make new friends again and again and again. And so that junior high experience was really rough because I began to have really anxious thoughts about the silliest of things, like, oh my gosh, who am I going to see? What should I wear? What's my hair going to look like? Who am I going to have to talk to? Am I going to have to answer this question or this question? Or my mind would just race nonstop the entire day. And I would get home and I'd be like, yeah, school is great. And I'd run to my room and I would cry. I would hate it. I would text my friends and I would literally plan to somehow get back to Washington. So then I found a friend, and we were pretty close throughout 8th grade and throughout freshman year of high school. Me and her were both like born in the same state, so like we were like, oh, we can be close with that because that's familiar. And then the last weekend of freshman year, me and her went to her house and we began to drink. Not my proudest moment. I got home the next morning. I was hungover, and my mom noticed something was off because obviously, like, I'm not acting normal, and she has her mother instincts and whatever. And so she asked me, and we talked about it, and I saw the pain that it caused both of my parents. And I like related that almost to how it was making God feel. Because throughout this entire time, I was still going to church. I was still acting normal. I was acting like everything was fine when I knew that I was doing these things that I shouldn't be doing. So when I saw the pain it caused my parents, I could relate that to how God was feeling. Because I can't see how God was feeling. Like, I couldn't see his emotions because you can't see him obviously you can't see him. But they were like the physical part of it. And so then that summer, like a month later, I went to summer camp, and I met a bunch of leaders, and I had close friends at church, sort of, but I was super nervous to go again because I was like, I just messed up. God's not going to want me. Like, why should I go? Like, I'm just going to screw up again. And so going was really, really scary for me because of the anxious thoughts. I was so nervous. I was telling Alec that I didn't want to go, I'm pretty sure. I don't actually know that, but I feel like I think that was the time when I did that. And I got closer with some leaders, and I developed a friendship, and at that summer camp, I got baptized because there was a night where I was, like, everyone was by the lake, and we were sitting there, and people were crying, and people were confessing and talking about all these things that were going on in their life. And so I was, like, feeling the Holy Spirit. I was having that camp high. I was so excited to be able to be renewed and to know that, like, even though I did mess up that month before, that God still loves me. And that no matter what, like, I can literally do the worst thing possible that I think is the worst thing possible, and God will still love me. He'll still care about me. And so that was something that I was learning in that time, and, like, I called my mom, and I was like, Mom, I'm going to get baptized. And she was so happy for me. She hated that she couldn't be there, but she was so happy for me. So that's kind of where I met Jesus and all that.
Wow. Like, thank you for not just sharing, but just the vulnerability and from everyone. And I think if you're like, I don't get it, I can't relate, or obviously they're all girls, and you're like, hey, I'm a guy, I don't get this. But I think everyone on some moment can be, oh, I remember that Jesus high, or I remember dealing with anxiety. And I think that's something now as leaders are up here and your friends, like, hey, Maren, like, can we talk about that? Like, I'm dealing with the same thing. So thank you. What's up, Bailey?
Hello, guys. So I'm originally from Portland, Oregon. I just moved here in June, so I'm really new to the area. But yeah, okay, so my story, I have been I've like known Jesus since I can remember. I grew up going to church, but my parents got divorced when I was like 9 years old. And so from then on, as far as I can remember, like there was always kind of like a hole in my heart of like something was missing. And so as I look back, like throughout my life, I can see different ways that I took to try and fill that void. And that looked a lot like different. Throughout high school, it was like having that perfect life, right? A lot of things that we like search for is like being popular, dating the star basketball player, being an athlete yourself, like all of those things that I eventually did have at one point. Like I always remembered feeling like I was still empty inside. Like the more I achieved what I thought I was holding on to so tightly, kind of like what Maddie was saying, the more I felt like empty and lost and confused and like, why isn't this filling what I thought it would fill? And I remember distinctly the summer going into my senior year of high school, going on a mission trip, and which I was forced to go on. I was like, oh, great, like 2 weeks. It was in like Minnesota too, so I'm like, what? Like, what are we gonna do in Minneapolis? Like, you know? And so I was on this mission trip, and I had been dating this guy for 2 years in high school, which, like, what? Like, I don't know. I look back and I'm like, that's so silly. Don't date for that long. Enjoy high school. Anyway, but I remember being on this mission trip, and you know that time where like the leader is like, all right, go take like an hour to yourself, pray, blah, blah, blah. You have like this, this like worksheet to like these questions to work through, and I'm like, ugh. And at that point, like, I hated being alone. Like, silence just, like, made me feel uncomfortable. Now I love it. But I remember that time, like, I was like, I didn't really even know how to pray. Like, I wasn't walking with the Lord. I was just on this mission trip. And, like, I had kind of, like, forgotten about him. Like, he was, like, I knew that God existed, all of that. But I, like, obviously was living for myself and not for him. So it just felt really uncomfortable, like, this hour alone with these questions that I did. But then it's like, you didn't have your phone. Like, what do you just sit there kind of. And I remember like trying to pray, and it was messy. Like, it was uncomfortable. Like, yeah, it just wasn't great. But I remember like bowing my head and looking up, and it was just like this moment of silence. And I was like, I heard this voice kind of in my head, not like audible, but like kind of like when a thought enters your head, but it's not yours, is how like I receive the Lord a lot. And it was just like, what are you living for? And is there more? And I, like, obviously that like kind of struck me, and like I knew right away that there was more. I had always kind of felt that. And then what I was living for was an easy answer myself, like just chasing my own happiness, the things I wanted, things like that. And I looked up, and there was this poster on the wall, and it said "loser." And I was like, oh, like, great, thanks. You know what I mean? But then underneath was the scripture, Matthew 10:39, which says, basically, this is a paraphrase of, one who finds his life will lose it, and one who loses it for my sake will find it. And I was like, shoot, like, okay. Like, that couldn't have been any more straightforward. And then it was, are you ready to lose your life to find me? Was like this thought. And I was like, oh my, like, I have chills, like, even like playing that back, because that was the first time where I think I felt Jesus. Like, I felt his presence, and I felt him, like, not only in my heart, but like physically. Like, I was like, whoa. It was like the Spirit just like moved through me. And so then after that, I would love to say that like I started following the Lord, broke up with my boyfriend, all of that. But obviously it didn't go as smooth. But I think it was a few months after that, like winter, where I did break up with my boyfriend. I didn't get the volleyball scholarship. I actually didn't even get into my top school. So everything that I had placed my hope in was gone. Like, I didn't have anything looking forward that I was hoping for so much. But something I did have was when the Lord entered my life. And I got plugged in with a cool like college group, even though I was still a senior in high school. Got to tell my story for the first time, which again was messy and probably really uncomfortable. But it's gotten better since then, I would say. But yeah, like I got to study scripture for the first time. Like, all these firsts were happening, and I just look back and I'm like so thankful for that moment, because I really believe that high school does set the tone for the rest of, I'm going to be 25. Hard to believe, I know.
Wow.
But
It's pretty old.
I know, I just aged myself. But honestly, like I look back, and those moments, those decisions I made that senior year really did set me on track for the last the next 4 to 5 years. And I'm just so thankful that I like tuned in to what the Lord had for me and traded my hopes, my desires for his, and really got to know him, because I couldn't confidently say I'd be here on this stage right now if it wasn't for those moments. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's funny that you got to this moment, because you got here in June. And what's funny is we weren't in church when she showed up, but somehow she's here, and it's crazy how God moves through that through social media, ironically enough. And she saw the ministry, got in contact with Matt, and now you're here. And that's just that's a testament how God moves through anything, anyone, any medium of life. So thank you for being here. Next question for my friend Maddie here. So once you had that moment, you had to stop white knuckling and just say, "Hey, I'm going to trust you." Since that moment, it's been so much easier, right? Since you've just been walking with him.
No.
Tell us a little why no?
Because just because you're living life with Jesus doesn't mean that life doesn't happen. And I think that there still is like a messiness, and like we're people and we're human, and we have things that like pull for our attention and pull us in so many different directions. And just because you have Jesus, like, doesn't mean that you still have the tension in the other places. It just means that you have something to like call home and to like recenter. And so life doesn't just automatically like flip the switch and it's like sunshine and rainbow all day, every day. Like there is still this like daily, okay, Jesus, like I'm gonna choose to follow you even though this is kind of messy and it sucks. And a perfect example is, I was telling you guys, like I grew up in gymnastics and I cared about that community, and the Lord provided ACU, and the Lord kind of just like, we're gonna go like this way, right? And just kind of like shifted all the plans, and I was like, cool. And then there was still this doubt where it's like, well, I don't deserve it, so the Lord's going to take it away from me. Or like, well, I still have friends who like drink and party and do all these things, so like I kind of want to do that too. And like, I still wanted to be liked by my non-Christian friends. I still wanted to be accepted in the gymnastics community. I still wanted this like scholarship. And there were moments where I was like, oh, well, it's not a gymnastics scholarship, so like I'm kind of struggling, right? Like there's still moments that you struggle and the world like is pulling for your attention, and like there are relational issues, there are like you still fight with your parents, like right, there's still like such a messiness in life. But with Jesus you get to know that like the messiness doesn't intimidate him, and he's not like afraid of it, and you can bring it to him and be like, Lord, I'm like kind of a train wreck, but I know that you love me and you like want to do something with this. And there's purpose when you have Jesus. Like you don't just like go living through life and you're trying to find it in other places. Like with Jesus there's purpose. And I don't want you guys to think that that happens when you get to college, or that happens when you're like married and you have kids. Like I was in your seat when the Lord is like, Maddie, pay attention to me, right? Like, so don't discount it because you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, right? Like the Lord wants to do things right now in your heart and wants to like get your attention now and then develop it from here on like forward. And that's the word we need to hold on to, is like you're constantly being developed by the Lord. You're constantly being refined and learning how to trust Jesus. Like it doesn't happen overnight. So it really is this like daily thing that you have to pursue. And that doesn't mean that it's like so pretty, right? Like it's not just a flip of a switch. So it's not easy, but it's so worth it. So yeah.
Dang, you want to preach sometime? Because you just kind of did. Dang, that was good. So I like, and it's just God works. Like you're one of the leaders up here, and that just gracefully led this conversation. And you kept using the word messy. So as we go down the line, and now that you're walking with Jesus after that baptism at camp, what has that messiness looked like for you?
Well, it was still pretty messy. So going into that sophomore year, I mean, I was like, I wouldn't say I was a whole new person, but my attitude kind of changed about life for a little bit. I was kind of like, oh, God is here. I am now like a real follower of Christ. Like I got baptized. This is going to be great. But there was still that thought in the back of my mind, like you were saying about high school, like I want to be popular. I need everyone to like me. I want to be the funny one. I want people to laugh at me. Like that was kind of what was going on in the back of my head, because I don't know, I just thought that. And so I mean, that was kind of it up through sophomore year, and then COVID hit. But I was kind of glad because I didn't like my English teacher, so. So, yeah. And then COVID hit, and I was just kind of like, well, what am I supposed to do now? Like, I really can't see any of my friends. I can't meet new people. Like, what am I supposed to do? And then I had always had this thought, and I was like, wow, like, I see all these high school movies, like, anything that, like, kind of defines high school. You know what I'm talking about, yeah. Not that movie, but yeah. And I was like, oh, wow, like partying looks so much fun. Like, I was like, I want to do that. And then for some odd reason, I made it a goal that, like, I was going to drink in high school. Like, I don't know why, but I did. And so then COVID hit, and I was like, well, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'll try it now. And so I did. And I ended up, it didn't end well for me. I got drunk, and I called my mom, and she obviously knew right away, and she came over to the house, and she picked me up, and we went home, and then I kind of fell off the face of the earth for the next couple weeks. But it really gave me time to, like, reflect on why I did that, what was, like, the main reason for it, and how can I look at this from a positive point of view and moving forward. So I think that God was like, yeah, I'll let you trip and fall right here, and then you just need to teach yourself how to get back up and just keep climbing that mountain. I don't know. So I did that, and honestly, ever since that accident happened, my life has honestly been like a million times better. I've been happier. I'm confident in myself. I have some great friends. I moved to a new school. I met some great people there, and I don't know how life could get any worse or get any better right now. So yeah.
Dang, thanks for sharing. And it's like small, you're like, oh, I drank a lot or I did a lot of drugs, whatever. But like for her to share, like, that took a lot. I was like, hey, are you going to mention that, like, when we talk on stage? And she's like, I don't know. I was like, well, I'm not going to force you into saying anything, but so just know this takes a lot. So, my friend Maren, what is the messiness in your life post meeting Jesus?
I think just being able to trust God, honestly, has been really, really hard for me. It doesn't get easier. It's helpful to know that you have someone there. You have places to run to, like a community at church. You have your friends at church who will hold you accountable for what's going on in your life and give you the right advice in a faithful way, in a godly way. Is kind of how my life has been, I feel like. I got caught, or not caught, that's not the right word, but I caught myself, I guess, going through the motions a little bit throughout quarantine of like, okay, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to act like I know what I'm talking about when people ask me about things, and I'm going to pretend that everything's great and fine. And then when we got back to church and I got back to working and I got back to seeing everybody and having people hold me accountable for what's going on, it made it a lot easier to, like, really care about the relationship I have with God again.
Yeah, no, that's so good. The word easy we need to throw out, but I think the word better. Because, like, Tatum's situation, that's not a fun thing, but it made your life better for it. So good. What about you, Bailey?
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to mind for me was, and still is, replacing the lies that I believe about myself with what Jesus has to say about me. And I really do think that probably will be a lifelong journey, because it's just like when you think you've conquered or you're done with one, there's like something that comes right after it. And I think that's just the way it works. I think that's the way he works. And so that's just been, I could pick out a few throughout the years of struggles of just, I've walked through anxiety, I've walked through depression, I've walked through the failure, just like shame, not feeling good enough, things like that. But I just look at it, and I in this year alone, like, I can't imagine going through all of those things and going through 2020 without the hope of Jesus. And I just want to leave that like at that, because I look around and there's so much going on in this world right now, and so many things that I didn't even think that we would be experiencing at our age, or like even in our lifetime, things that our parents are like, I never thought this would come to this, or things like that. And I just can't imagine like sorting through all that and trying to make sense of it without the hope of eternity and without knowing where I'm going and how it's all gonna come to end and knowing the end of the story, basically. Like, I think, honestly, I would throw my hands up and be like, all right, what's the point? Like, what do we even do? Like, you know what I mean? There feels like there's so much hopelessness right now, and there's so many people, like, crying. I can just see, like, crying out for love and crying out for just everything that Jesus has to offer that this world can't. And so I just can't, like, I look back and I'm like, I don't, like, honestly, I'm like, I can endure anything on this earth because I know what's after it. So, I mean, that sounds like really plain and simple. It's not, obviously, because we all have our own insecurities and things like that. But it's just been letting him speak over my fears and my anxiety. And, like, that's kind of it. But
So good. Yeah, if you want to pass the mic on down, and we'll do one last question. But you touched on this year, 2020. It's been a year. But we have the hope of Jesus, this eternal hope. And so it's been 8 months, y'all, since March. Like, it's been a while. So in these last 8 months, Maddie, what has God just been teaching you? What has he shown you? What have you grown through in the last 8 months?
For me, I think the Lord has just been really clear that he's like never done teaching. You could be 85 on your like deathbed and the Lord like still wants to take you deeper. And it's this like daily thing where the Lord just like, I want relationship with you, not just on Sundays, not just on Wednesdays, not just like in that cool coffee shop or that like cool conversation you had with your friend, but like he wants like personal relationship every day. Like, it is an honor that we have to like be able to be in the presence of the Lord at like any time of the day. And just over the past 8 months, I think I got really complacent with my knowledge. It was like, I'm going to school for like Bible. Like, I want to be a pastor, right? So I got complacent that like I knew enough. And I knew enough about Jesus to kind of like get me through this time. And I knew enough to kind of like get me set up until I needed to learn more. And what the Lord was kind of showing me is like, Maddie, like, I have so much I want to teach you. And I was kind of humbled that I need to be in this like constant state of like student. And right, like summer, we'd like get a break of school or whatever, quarantine, we got this like extra long whatever, right? But what the Lord was teaching me, and I think like hopefully you can be encouraged by this too, is that like we're never like done learning about Jesus. Like even when we're in heaven, we get to learn more about him. And that's the coolest person that we ever get to learn about and get to experience. And if you think you know your Bible, like start to finish, memorized, like even then he has more to teach you, and even then he has more to show you. So I was just like kind of humbled, I guess, that I can't get complacent in my knowledge, and I can't think I know Jesus enough to like not keep moving forward and learning about God and following God. We're told in the Bible that it's like, take up your cross daily, right? Like we choose Jesus daily. And that doesn't just mean like daily Sundays, right? Or like weekly Sundays, right? That's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way, like every day of the week, Jesus. And I was, like, I guess to put it all in one word is like the Lord always wants to take you deeper and always wants to reveal more to you. And so are you going to like humble your heart to be like, okay, Jesus, like I do want to learn more and I do want to go deeper and I do want to be that like sophomore in high school or sophomore in college that like knows a lot about you. And then when I'm 50 and I have like kids, maybe grandkids, like I'm still getting to know more about you. So like the Lord's never done, and that's not like a scary thing. That's like a really awesome thing that we don't have a God that's like boring. And like one day we'll figure him out, right? Like he's always revealing new things. He's always really refreshing. And so I've just learned to like take up my cross, and it's a daily thing, and that's a good thing.
Heck yeah. Awesome. Tatum, as we wrap up for you, if you could just say it in one sentence. I know it's a lot, or maybe there's one word that sticks out to you over the last 8 months.
Well, I'll go with the sentence because one word is kind of hard. One sentence would really, for me, over these last 8 months is God has a plan for you. And I just think this because I mean, I went to public school, and then this year, my sister brought this idea of, hey, why don't we try Valley Christian? And I was like, no, we can't do that. That's not good for me. But I went, and I'm absolutely loving it right now. And I think after the story that I told about what happened with drinking and stuff, I think that has also really showed that he has a plan for me and that we can really just grow through our mistakes and we can just learn from them and use them as a positive.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. Maren, what about you? One sentence of the last 8 months.
Probably like giving it all to God, which is cheesy and basic, and I feel like a lot of people say that, but for me, like, I just have to give it to him, and I know it's going to be okay. As hard as it is to be able to do that, it's going to be okay if I just give it to God and let him take care of it.
Awesome. I mean, I feel like you crushed it on the last question and kind of already went into it, but do you have anything you want to add, Bailey?
Yeah, I think I just have one. I guess I'll just follow the sentence structure. But I would say don't let idealism steal the joy of reality. And yeah, that's what I've been learning is my life doesn't look like what I thought it would at 24, going to be 25. I'm not exactly where I thought I'd be. Definitely didn't think I'd be living in Arizona. But through the last 8 to 10 months, however long it's been, I have just, so many things have entered my life that have brought so much joy. And I think by like month 4, I was like, all right, I'm gonna like accept this and live into it. And whatever that looks like, I'm gonna find joy in it because there is joy in it somewhere. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I like haven't been happier. I think I've been thriving in the last several months, which is exciting to say because it's been a hard year. But I'm just really thankful that the Lord showed me that earlier on and that I've been able to walk into that.
Wow. Thank you so much, guys. Can we give a round for them, guys? If you guys want to head off stage. Yo, like, this takes so much. Here, I'll steal that microphone from you, homie. Thank you. And you're like, why should I do this? Or like, why have we done this for a month? And you're like, hey, maybe I don't have a story. But in reality is we all do. I mean, you heard everything over the last 3 weeks. Anxiety, depression, drugs, alcohol, girls, guys, whatever that is. Like, we all have a story. Don't diminish it. We all need to tell our story in some capacity. So Pastor Matt had something on his heart this week as he was traveling around, going to the World Series and stuff like that. So, Matt, what do you got for us, man?
Great. Oh, there we go. This was a great series, right? Give it up to everybody over the last few weeks that came up here. They shared their story. It's so powerful. I was sitting at a conference this week with a few hundred youth pastors from around the country. And they said one thing, and it was, Jesus needs to be in your story. And I was like, wow, it's such a great series we're doing. And that was the reminder God gave me for you guys this week. Is everybody in here, just like Alec said, has a story. But make sure Jesus is the center of that story. We want to meet people and share. Anybody ever get exciting news and they want to share it? On Tuesday, I'm a diehard Dodger fan. I grew up outside of LA. And my whole life on my bucket list was to go watch the Dodgers in the World Series. Tuesday, I'm at this conference in Dallas. And it happens to be, because of quarantine, the World Series was in Dallas, even though Dallas wasn't playing. And it's the only place that they were playing it. And I got a text 2 hours before the game saying, do you want this World Series ticket? I was in shock. I called all of my friends. If you follow me on Instagram, I shared 1 million stories. But I wanted to tell everybody I was going to the World Series. Guys, you guys have a story. And when we know Jesus, it's this story that we don't want to keep to ourselves. We want to share with everybody around us. So if you have a story, shoot us a DM on Instagram and share it with us. We want to hear it. I said that challenge a few weeks ago, and we were getting stories sent to us on Instagram. It was amazing. And go share it with other people, whether that's on your Instagram or on your TikTok or just telling friends in person. Your story is so powerful. And so we are starting a brand new series next week. A series I'm a little nervous about, if I could be honest. It's called You Asked For It. And over the last few weeks, you guys have been asking some questions about, hey, these are some topics I want to hear about, that my friends want to know. And so we're going to start the series next week. And we're going to be hitting on some sensitive, some hard subjects to talk about. And I want you guys to really invite everybody you know. Can I tell you what the first 2 weeks are going to be about? It's going to be about, what does the Bible say about homosexuality? This is like a big topic, and I want you guys to understand going into it as we invite friends to this. One, this is a place, no matter what orientation you give yourself, this is a place for you. Like, you are welcome here. Any of your friends who identify as something, this is a place for them. They will not be looked down upon. Nobody will shame them. We will not be up here saying God does not love you, because that's the opposite. Jesus loves everybody so much that he died for them. So we want to be a place that anybody feels welcome stepping foot into, right? And if you have friends who are wondering about the subject, bring them. Promise them, like, they will not be lit on fire if they walk into church. That's something you hear sometimes by people. But this is a place where they will feel loved and embraced. And we just want to say, what does God actually say about this subject? And like, there's a few verses in the Bible, but what does God have to say for us about this topic? So we want you guys to invite your friends. We're going to be answering more questions throughout the series. We're actually going to do it all the way until the first week of December, just answering your guys' hardest questions, because we believe in just doing series and doing things that you guys actually want to learn about and know about. And so does that sound good, guys? All right, invite some friends. We're going to have a party this Wednesday at midweek. Come dressed up in free Raising Canes for everybody. All right, I'm going to pray for us and we'll go. Sound good? All right, dear God, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for bringing everybody here. We just pray, God, this week we will share our story because we're so excited about what you've done in our life. God, for anybody who doesn't know you, Jesus, I pray they come to talk to a leader today so they can hear all about Jesus, and that we just invite so many friends to talk about maybe some of these hard topics in our life, God, and see what you say about them, God. In your name, amen.